This meeting to order, the March 7th Planning Commission. Could I have a roll call, please?
Ahern, Bathke,
Here.
Janezer,
Here.
Heisler,
Here.
Staber,
Here.
Vincent, Willer, Ahern.
Here.
Great.
Apologies, everyone.
And could I have an approval of the agenda? Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Heisler, second by Staber. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 3, Northridge Parts 2 and 3, the preliminary subdivision plat. We'll start with the staff presentation.
Okay, so this was tabled at the September meeting, 2022, and we were waiting for an agreement between the Fjord Subdivision Homeowners Association and the property owner. There was quite a bit of back and forth. I know that the Mr. Downer is in the audience here to kind of summarize those, but the agreement was executed between the parties and is incorporated into the background material. So staff is comfortable moving forward. Do we need a motion to take this off the table?
Grant, we need your help here.
No, this was
Was
tabled indefinitely, which means it's off the agenda until it gets put back
Okay.
on. It's on the agenda. You
Okay.
can just address it as you normally would.
Great.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the property is zoned RS4 and the future land use map, and that is our newly adopted future land use map, urban low intensity and parks and open space for the Alt Wine Cemetery, which would remain. Here is the property, and I've kind of put green circles in areas that are kind of what I would refer to as the upland portions or developable portions. And the red arrows are drainage features, which drain from the west ultimately into the Fjords subdivision. That becomes relevant because it becomes quite a bit of a challenge to essentially build a bridge over that red area, and just reminding you that it makes sense for at least a couple of those lots to have access off of Oak Lane Northeast, which was the topic of discussion between the homeowner and Fjord subdivision. So staff does feel that there's uniqueness to the lay of the land that was not the doing of the property owner. So we feel that that in a very limited circumstance, a variation from the subdivision is warranted. In this case, it would to allow 3 lots to access off a private street. That is not something we like doing very often. We feel that there could be a time in the future where people are asking, why would someone in staff do that? Say in 20 years or something like that, a la Clubhouse Lane over here where the golf course is. But we do feel it's a challenge. And it helps that there was an agreement between the Fjord subdivision and the homeowner. So here is the proposed subdivision. Again, majority of the lots would access off North Liberty Road. There's 2 access points and a cul-de-sac there. You really want to not have, you want to minimize the number of access points you would have because North Liberty Road is an arterial road. So a cul-de-sac does make sense in this location. You can see the drainage feature that was in the location of the arrow that I had presented. And then there's 3 lots that would directly access Oak Lane Northeast. We did have a good neighbor meeting way back on June 15th. A lot of the letters that made the packet much larger were correspondence from many of the residents there that I think have been addressed with the agreement between the homeowner and the Fjords. And again, I'll allow Mr. Downer to summarize that. And so we did find there was 3 findings: consistency with zoning in the land use map. We do believe that this warrants approval of a variation per the subdivision code, and it achieves consistency with design standards in the subdivision ordinance. So staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. And now we'll entertain any applicant presentation. If you have one, please come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Bob Downer. I'm the attorney for Scanlon Family LLC that is the owner of the property that's proposed to be subdivided here. There's not a whole lot that I can add to the very thorough staff report that has been presented, but a few things that I might mention that are covered in the agreement that was entered into between the Fjords North Homeowners Association and the Scanlon family. There are several lots in the northwesterly area of the proposed subdivision that do back up onto Oak Lane. But in this agreement, it is provided that there would be covenants that those lots could not use Oak Lane for access, that access with respect to this subdivision to Oak Lane is limited by virtue of that agreement to the 3 lots that are located in the northeasterly corner of the subdivision. Also, there is a limitation that there can be no parking on Oak Lane, that this would be posted with no parking signs along the entire north side and along the south side west of those 3 lots. With respect to those 3 lots, there is a provision under the agreement where a property owner could, at that owner's expense, widen Oak Lane for purposes of making a parking lot, but under no circumstances would the traveled portion of Oak Lane be reduced beyond what it is right now, so that there would be free passage of 2 vehicles along Oak Lane. And there's some photographs as a part of the staff report that show how 2 vehicles can pass on that location. I think it's clear that there is access for emergency vehicles, for trash collection and things of that nature, that Oak Lane would be usable for those purposes by the owners of those 3 lots when there are residents constructed there. And so I think, as I mentioned, that this the staff report covers those things that seem to me to be pertinent. But if there are any questions that members of the commission or staff have at this point, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, could I chime in for just a
Yes,
moment?
please.
The requirement for the agreement between Scanlon and the neighbors, the staff knew that we were going to have objections about the proposed development, and asked the developer to come up with an agreement that satisfies the neighbors. And they are to be commended. They've done that. I want to just take a moment to stress the large amount of work and effort that went into making those folks who were nervous about this, our neighbors in the county. We want to be good neighbors to them and limit the disruption. And that homeowners association was represented by competent counsel. They negotiated an agreement at arm's length and came up with agreeable terms. So I know we're talking that we satisfied the criteria for a variation in our ordinance. Thank you, Ryan, for mentioning that. And Bob wanted to discuss some of the specifics, but I wanted to let you know that the staff's ask was make the neighbors happy. And that's what they've done. And so I think that's something that I wanted to just make sure that the commission was aware of.
Thank you. Thank you. At this
One
time,
other thing that I might mention, and I think that this is a non-controversial part of this application, but we've also had very constructive discussions with the Joint Cemetery Board with regard to the Alt Cemetery. And I think that's going to be significantly improved as a part of this. There really is no access other than by permission of the farmer who presently rents the 40 acres for anyone to get to that cemetery. And there are some historically important fence posts that are going to be preserved as a part of this, some landscaping that's going to be done with a sign that designates the cemetery so that persons having occasion to visit that will be able to do it via a public street and not having to go to some other property owner to get permission to visit grave sites there. So I do think that that's a public benefit that is arising from this development. And again, I would also commend the cemetery board for their willingness to work with us, and I think coming up with some improvements to that cemetery that are going to make it a better maintained, more attractive area in honor of those persons who are buried there.
Well, thank you. We will go ahead and open it up to public comment right now. If there's anyone who'd like to comment, please come to the podium and introduce yourself. If we have no public comment, then I will open it to questions and comments from the commission.
We've gone through this one a few times.
Yeah, and I appreciate Grant's contribution because the biggest concern was the neighbors. So, well, we don't have to belabor it. If there are no further questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
Well, I'll move that the Planning Commission accept the 3 listed findings and forward the preliminary plat to City Council with a recommendation for approval.
Motion by Heisler,
Second.
second by Staber. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Heisler,
Aye.
Staber,
Aye.
Janeezer,
Aye.
Ahern,
Aye.
Pathke,
Aye. Great, thank you. We'll move on then to item number 4, Solomon's Entertainment District, the preliminary subdivision plat. And we'll start off with the staff presentation.
Okay, so this is a revised preliminary plat pertaining only to the commercial portion along Penn Street. I think this arose over a different user. You might have seen some of the news that came out recently about kind of an entertainment center. It moved into one of the outlots, and let me give a little bit background on that. This overall development was 80 acres, and based on the intensity of the acre, at a certain point, a traffic signal would be required at the west side at future Saratoga Lane in that location. They've acquired the land for the right-of-way. It hasn't been dedicated. A traffic study indicated that a signalization would be required there. There's a portion of the development that can proceed without that traffic signal, and there's a point at which no more development can proceed. So it's one phase of the multifamily, the single-family apartments just to the north, and 50 single-family residents, and then a portion of the commercial. The corner at Penn and Jones Boulevard would not be able to be developed. The problem is as this new user, it was a sports complex and the Pizza Ranch bowling alley, the size of the development moved into what was platted as an outlot. And we couldn't do a lot boundary adjustment because it was into a non-developable lot at this point. So they are back asking for a revised preliminary plat. We would have a final plat that would go to City Council for just the commercial portion. That would allow the development to proceed. Would you like to add anything to that, or?
No.
Okay, so we do have C2A zoning in the front, so commercial uses obviously would be consistent with that. The new future land use map designation is urban high intensity. It's our highest intensity, so would allow for obviously a higher intensity commercial and residential if that were the case. Here is the lot configuration. If you look a little closely, you can see the old lot designations, but these will be simply called lots 1, 2, and 3. I would note that you may recall that I revised some of the parking standards, usually in the direction of being less restrictive. But in this case, with these types of uses, being a bowling alley, entertainment center, and a youth sports complex, I'm out of it now, but had a lot of kids in sports and been to those types of events, and parking is tough. They're always full. So the ratio for both of them was 1 parking space per 200 square feet of gross area, which is on the higher end of what we require for parking. I feel that's appropriate for this type of use. Obviously, that consumes a lot more land area and pushed into that outlot. That's really, I think, why we're back here. So we had a good neighbor meeting in conjunction with the overall rezoning even further back, January 27, 2022. And we did have 2 findings. Again, the zoning and consistency with zoning and future land use map and consistency with the subdivision ordinance. So staff does recommend accept 2 listed findings and forward the request to City Council with a recommendation for approval.
Great. Thank you. We'll go ahead and open it for an applicant presentation. If anyone wants to speak, please feel free to come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Good evening, John Marner with MMS Consultants. Not a lot to add. I think Russ covered everything. The primary reason, as he mentioned, was the planned future development for the sports complex and then the Pizza Ranch bowling complex, and that was necessitated the additional parking we needed to adjust the property lines. Not a lot else to add. He did mention the final plat. I think we've got that submittal in. That should be moving forward. Hopefully, we've been working on the preliminary site plan application as well with staff, trying to work through some issues there, make sure that we have everything addressed that staff is looking for. And hopefully that moves forward in the near future too. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Great. Thank you. And do we have any public comments? You may come to the podium and introduce yourself if you do. If not, we'll go ahead and move to questions and comments from the commission. Any questions or comments? Seems fairly non-controversial.
Very good solution.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll move that the Planning Commission accept the 2 listed findings and forward the preliminary plat to the City Council with a recommendation for approval subject to the conditions recommended by city staff.
Thank you. Motion by Ahern,
I'll second that.
second by Janizer. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Janizer,
Aye.
Ahern,
Aye.
Staber,
Aye.
Eisler,
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye. Great. Then item number 5, I need approval of the previous minutes.
I'll move to approve the previous minutes.
Motion by Heiser,
I'll second.
second by Ahern. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Old business or new business?
Old business comprehensive plan was adopted by City Council, so
Nice.
yay for
Yay.
that. So very happy with that. Again,
Good job.
Thanks for your guys' effort and Barry being on the advisory committee. So super pleased with that. So as far as new business, we do have a pretty full agenda next month. Hopefully, we anticipate that the preliminary site plan, as John mentioned, will be on there. Fox Run Farm rezoning is back. That never quite made it to you, but that's been reduced in intensity. So we'll see how that goes. And a couple other items. So we should be pretty busy next month.
Great. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Motion by Staber,
Second.
second by Janizer. All those in favor for adjournment?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
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 Great. And we're adjourned.